guys, welcome to another video. We're currently on the way to the track right now in the JZX90. It's been a little bit between driving this car, so really wanted to take it out for a drive, but we're going to head down the track. I'm going to sort of take you guys through what exactly we do when I design a track layout for a competition. We have a competition coming up this weekend on Sunday the 20th of March, and there's a pro and an amateur, so I'll sort of just let's get down the track and I'll show you guys all the thoughts that I go through and things I need to consider when choosing a track layout. And probably the interesting thing for this is not just, you know, my own track, but when I've run my national events and things like that, these are all things that are considered and taken into account. So we'll head down there now and have a look. Alright guys, as you know, we're down here at Archfield Drift Park by track. This is where we got the comp going on. I guess from the start, when I get to the track, a few things immediately I want to look into is track condition. So if there's certain parts of the track where I sort of want to avoid because they might be cracking, or just generally in a situation where the track could cause issues in a comp, I'll try and avoid those spots. So, you know, that's one thing I'll go and check out. I only checked out the track yesterday and everything is pretty bloody mint. So that won't really get taken into account for this weekend's competition. Track itself is looking good. The other thing we need to work out is, obviously, if this is talking about not our track, but if you're at any other track, is where you get on and off the track. So if you look over behind us, obviously our track entry and exit is just over there. So I need to keep into account that we need to comfortably get cars on and off the course without it sort of messing with the layout too much. And Archie being just as a total size venue, smaller than, you know, I guess a national level racetrack, I really have to consider, you know, that we use sort of, usually we'll even do a full lap here sometimes to run a drift layout. So where they come on and off the course, where they line up and all that is really critical. We usually utilize that area in the middle if we're not using that as part of the comp. Otherwise we use sort of this area here, and even in the past we've used a piece of that area over there. So they're all things you need to heavily consider. The other thing I need to consider with layouts for this event, we're running two classes. We're running a level 2, which is, I guess, an intermediate, you know, for people that are learning, that aren't pros, that want to get into battles and have fun with competition but aren't as experienced yet. And then we obviously have our pro class. Sometimes I'll set up layouts for both. You know, I'll set up an easier layout for the L2s and then a more like a more exciting layout, or potentially in some cases a more dangerous layout for the pro drivers. It's not that it's necessarily dangerous, it's just you know, for lesser experienced people, they can get themselves in mischief, and that's where I try and avoid that, you know, because we don't want to see people crashing. And if a layout is such a way that a lesser experienced person is likely to crash or would make a silly mistake like jump on the brakes when they shouldn't, you know, I don't want them to have to pay that price. So that's why we'll pretty much never run a reverse layout for level 2, because it's just coming down this straightaway here on a backwards layout. People get spooked by the wall and tend to jump on the brakes, so that's something we don't do. Actually, while I'm quickly out here, as you guys know, I haven't had vlogs up for a couple of days. That's because we've done a ton of work down here at the track. If you see here, for one, we've completely redone all these walls down here, and now they're dead smooth. So you can really run the wall and scrape your bumper along it if you want to. We've done the same with all the concrete walls over there, so that's sort of why the track's all dirty. We had machines and everything in here. We've sort of tilted and moved the walls so they're just as smooth as they can be, so you can run your bumper down the wall if you want to. How can I explain? Sort of before, this wall especially was tilted out quite heavily, and the walls were just sort of, they were janky. You know, they weren't as straight as they could be. Those ones were originally straight on the other side, but then, you know, cars tapping it and whatever, and just the ground sinking, they'd moved around. So I'm gonna have a little bit of a think about what sort of layout I want to run. I'm gonna check the weather, because the weather plays a part here, because the concrete is super grippy and asphalt is not when it comes to a wet event. The concrete's grippy and the asphalt's not when it comes to a wet event. So that's something I need to keep into account if it looks like it's going to be wet. So much, honestly, there is so much you really need to think about. And then of course, crowd. You know, will the crowd be able to see the layout well? Will they be able to see the clipping points? Will it make sense? We also have motorbike stunt riders coming out for this weekend. So that's another thing we need to keep into account. I don't want my start line in the way of where the motorbike guys are going to be doing their demos. So a lot to think about, but I'm going to just have a walk around right now and think up some ideas. I try and keep it fresh here because we have, you know, over the years there's been so many events here at Archfield Drift Park. I like to sort of get spicy with the layout, so I'll have a bit of a think and I'll walk you through it. All right, so I've had a fair bit of thought about the layout and what I want to do for this one. You can see here I've done a little bit of work just making sure the asphalt under the section I want to use is still there, because I've literally never used this part of the track for a comp. But I'm going to quickly jump into the JZX90 and take you for a drive around the course, and then I'll explain it in more detail. All right, so start line's going to be out in the middle of the course basically. Gives us heaps of room for staging, so we're going to be staging all over in this area here. So it'll allow us to easily run the comp, find the drivers, because they'll all be right there, and when they come out of pits they literally come directly across into the staging area, and we can get guys lined up quickly. So it's really something you have to think about with these layouts. But anyway, this will be the start line. It's not going to be a hard start line as such. The cars will take off from here, but the idea is to take off gingerly, and we're going to have basically a pace zone, and then they'll take off hard from there. So I'll take off from here, lead car will be on the outside. The idea is to start building up speed at this point, and I'd say we'd pretty much have them side by side, and we'll probably have a pace cone right here for them to really start getting into it as they head onto the front straight here. So the idea is to keep the cars together for as long as possible before they start drifting, and allow both cars to gain momentum and speed so the tandem drift can be better. And that's super important for us. We really want the cars to be nice and close, and as someone running an event, that's best case scenario, because cars door on door look 10 times better than cars that are really spaced apart. And you can get in situations where run-ups are too long or too fast, and cars end up really spread apart because of the, you know, differentiates in grip and power, and people's, you know, might be a bit more ballsy than others. So this is a good way to keep people together while still creating a really good battle, and it's still being really competitive. So we'll continue on from this point. So they'll be actually starting to drift at this point, but the main highlight here is to flick a gangster entry. We'll want them to get in really tight and early here, and a big snap flick down this wall. You can see we've done all that work to make that wall nice. A normal race line apex into here, running out. There'll be an outer clip up here on the wall. Now we're going to go fast line, so we're going to be going left. We want more of a race line around here We will set clips, but I'll run you through that in a bit. It's got to be a kind of late clip here. The idea is to run a late clip here so the cars run so they don't cut over that. We don't want lead cars cutting over the middle, so they'll be on the full blaze all the way around this corner up against the wall. Well, close to the wall we want them. And as we come back around here, you can imagine they're absolutely blazing the tires. We want to run out wide to here, and then this is where it differentiates. We haven't run this before, and then we're going to go big flick into here, into a hairpin finish. So it'll come around, all the crowd will be on the hill, you'll come out of the skid here, and then finish off. When battles are on, you'll drive back past the crowd, everybody will be pumped. You know, that again, things you need to think about as an event organizer, and just in general, so even people that never ever intend to be an event organizer, to understand how we think to make things better for you guys. Like, I think the thought that the driver can finish their run and you can literally see their faces and see how pumped they are or how bummed they are, and as a spectator know that they can see into your eyes when you're cheering them on after the finish line, and you know what I mean? Like, as a driver it pumps you up, as a spectator that pumps you up. It just overall adds a heap of vibe to it. So you got to imagine, if I'll reverse back now to the end of the course. So where's the hairpin? Hairpin's just to the side of me here. So you got to imagine you've just drifted the last corner, you've come out of it, you straighten up, all the crowd's here. So you've got crowd all here. You're driving along, throwing shuckers, yeah the boys. All the crowd are there just pumping you up as well as you're driving along here. And you gotta think, all the way along here there'll be crowd, all the way down here, and then in here is all the pit area, so all your homies in the pits will be pumped for you. You'll come around here back to the start line where you will be beyond hyped. You'll swing back around onto the start line, ready to just like absolutely decimate and just kill it on your second run. And they're the vibes, you know what I mean? When you take off from this start line, those same homies you just saw are here cheering you on as you're in the pace zone. All the homies are here throwing the shuckers. You get up to this point, it's on. The crowd are loving it, they're right there. So, you know, that's the vibes we're trying to get. Trying to make it wicked for the drivers, wicked for the spectators. Just generally get, you know, so not only do the drivers feel awesome, you know, the spectators are really part of it. And that's something, as a event organizer and a driver for all these years, I loved. You know, whenever I've been to an event and it's had those kind of vibes, it's just next level as a driver. And as a spectator, spectators are so involved and so, like, you know, right there and part of the action, you know, I mean, they really are part of it. So that's what I'm sort of aiming for here. I'll go for a walk around and I'll show you a few key points that are really going to make this layout fun. Key point number one is easy. The big entry along the wall. Spectators are right there on the fence line, and honestly, we've done a lot of work to make this wall so if you want to, you can run down it. It is super smooth now, so you can literally run your back bumper on it and only get a little scrape if you want to. We're not asking guys to scrape the wall in competition, but we are asking pros especially to be super close to the wall. So that is something, you know, it's a big part of it. And, you know, this is going to be the most high speed part of it, this first entry. Big angle, you know, big commitment will really pay off in that area. So we'll head on to the next part, which is sort of another highlight and another heavily weighted part of the course when it comes to judging. This area here, coming out of what we call the fast line for obvious reasons. Nico line over there is your Nico line. It's a bit tighter and sort of slows cars down a little bit, where fast line is exactly that. You can keep a lot of momentum with this layout. But the traditional practice night line here is you sort of outer clipping zone right here, and then you cut in, and usually people are hitting their front tires on the island. Now look, that's fine if you're on your own, but if you're in a tandem, if your front tires are on that island, it means the chase car is like doing freaking canyonero over that island. So that's something we want to avoid. So we are going to add an outer clipping zone reasonably late here. So that will allow, you know, plenty of room for a chase car, but still allow the lead car to carry heaps of speed for the main corner, you know, well, the main corner, the big corner, the kind of bait corner. It's gonna be a lot of full throttle on this layout, which is gonna be super fun. I'd say it's probably, it'd have to be 95% full throttle course, which is gonna be really fun for the drivers. You really just off throttle for a sec on the entry, and then you'll be off throttle a sec for the hairpin finish. But you know, very, very vast majority of the course, you're gonna be absolutely full throttle. So yeah, main corner, pretty self-explanatory. Stay on the wall, angle, speed. The line is nice and against the wall. We are going to do some repairs before the comp as well. There's one pothole in particular where in a chase scenario at a comp, you can potentially hit it. So we've got a little pothole right here. I've got a cone there, letting Chi-Chi know we need to fill that bad boy in before the comp. Like realistically, you shouldn't be over there, but if you are over there, we're going to make sure that's filled up. Now let's go to the next part that is going to be a massive highlight of this comp. All right, so Chi-Chi's blowing off the last part of it. I did give it a good sweep to make sure there is asphalt under it, to make sure. Gave a couple of quick little handbrakies just to make sure it's good. But yeah, I'll update with you guys in a sec when Chi-Chi finishes blowing it off. Alright guys, Chi-Chi's got this area cleaned off. Then I was moving some truck tires around, which still have water in them from the floods. And I freaking dropped the tires on the ground and I see something moving. Guys, this shows you how bad the flood was. These fish are still alive. Like, how?
And the tires are roasting.
The tires are hot, man. The water's like hot.
That's amazing.
Where can we, do you reckon we can chuck him back in the drain? If there's water in the drain, there probably isn't, is there?
No, there's not now.
No, you're done for, buddy. But I don't know. That's crazy that there's freaking fish. There's probably more. Yeah, well, there has to be more in the tires, which is insane. Imagine there's like a kind of big fish sitting in the tires. That's insane. See if there's more, because yeah. I'll move these tires and I'll show you guys the corner after I yeah, this is crazy. Fish in the tires at the track. Like, given the when were we flooded? A week and a half ago? Yeah. And there's still a living fish still here, like multiple, and that's like 2 different kinds. I don't even know what that is. That's like a mud skipper or something like that thing. Oh, there's more. There's another one there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there is too. Yep.
I bet there's more in here.
There's more inside there.
I feel bad for him, you know what I mean? Like, oh well. All right, after that little fish adventure there, just is blowing my mind. But anyway, so you're going to come out of where the JZX90 is, running a deep wide line and then a big snap transition into this hairpin area, which is going to be a nice, you know, still second gear, but nice big flick in, door on door, really close to each other. You got to understand, if you're here watching and you're up on this hill, you're gonna be hanging over the fence, cheering the boys on, boys and girls on. It's gonna be a super rad finish to the course. Like literally, imagine if you're a driver driving right here, the crowd's right there. You're on the cook, throwing the boys shuckers. What a rad way to finish a course. And like I said, the guys will be able to drive along there, say hi to everybody. In practice, we'll just cut across the middle to get back to the start line to keep practice flowing, but comp time will definitely be you know, checking, you know, saying hi to the crowd and stuff. So that is the basic gist of how I decide a layout. That's pro layout. I am going to do a more basic layout for level 2 I kind of wanted to do this one, but at the same time, there is slight risks, especially into here. Like, you're gonna have to be super committed, and then a super committed snap into here. Not super committed, but just you have to push yourself a bit, and I don't necessarily want to push the L2 drivers to do that. So the L2 drivers, we're gonna have a shorter, regular style start line into the main corner, and then we're gonna run our technical beginner style layout that basically just encourages good transitions, good close driving. And best of all, for L2, that means basically no walls. Like, obviously on the entry and on the exit there, you do have the walls, but it's a lower speed part of the course. And then for the remainder of the course, the worst thing you hit is a cone. So we're trying to keep it super safe for the L2 guys. And with a layout like that as well, means we can get way more practice laps, where pro will literally only be able to run 1 or 2 cars at a time, because obviously at the end of the course, it comes back on itself. So, you know, they won't get as many practice laps as the L2, but being pro, they should definitely be able to get their heads around the layout quicker and easier than the level 2 guys, who are obviously still on the learning path. So I guess I'll wrap it up there, guys. I guess it's a little bit of an insight from behind the scenes of an event organizer about how we think up a layout, and how we sort of you know, all the different things that a lot of the stuff you wouldn't think about, like, you know, getting cars onto the track, staging, all of that sort of stuff, and everything to keep the flow going and make sure the crowd and the drivers have a really good time. So yeah, March 20th, guys, which is this Sunday, we are having the comp. So if you're anywhere in the Brisbane vicinity, even if you're a couple hours away, definitely come out and watch, take part, support the track. We should hopefully have more Archie merch before the comp this weekend. Archfield Drift Park shirts coming. Obviously you guys have seen we've got all the Archfield Drift Park stickers now in stock, which are super rad. We're gonna have a stall set up. We're gonna have a Bayo bun and Korean style chicken food truck here. We're gonna have the music playing. It's gonna be a freaking wicked time. At the time of making this video, I believe there's like 3 spots left in pro and 4 spots left in amateur. So if you're thinking about entering, stop thinking, get onto it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.